Ever wondered how you can use Linux applications on your currently running Windows machine? Maybe you have a laptop from a corporate environment where you cannot install software, you can only run it locally as a user, or maybe you still feel unsure and you just want to test some Linux applications which you consider great, but you cannot use them on your Windows system. You're stuck to Windows for whatever reason. Well, in this training, I'm going to show you how to tackle these problems. I'm going to present you some awesome applications for you, which I like a lot. I use them on Linux directly, but you can also use them on Windows with my methods I'm going to describe you. Of course, we are going to have a look at Windows subsystem for Linux, but also we are going to have a look at MSys2. What this is, I'm going to explain, but I can tell you one for sure. These are two tools which will solve your problems not being adjustable to a Linux system or not being able to run Linux applications on your Windows. Nowadays it's possible because, you know, Microsoft loves Linux, and I'm going to show you what kind of love they have established. So stay tuned with this training and have a look at it, and I will show you very powerful tools. Stay tuned for my videos. This is Gerhard Stein, mechanical engineer, passionate for computers. I hope you enjoy this training as much as I enjoyed it producing it. So let's start with Windows subsystem for Linux. What is it exactly? Well, the Windows subsystem for Linux basically is a layer that is put on within the Windows operating system where you can run Linux applications. It is officially supported by Microsoft, and with this layer you can run Linux applications. Not only that, you can even run whole distributions. And there's a list of distributions officially supported by Microsoft, and it is not every distribution. There exists like 200 or 400 out there, if I'm not mistaken, like 8 or 9 distributions are supported. We look into those, but basically, I mean, you know, if you want to download a Linux application and it tells for which distribution it is compatible, usually you can run it on other distributions, but the advantage you have with Windows is you just select your proper distribution you want to run, you just install the application where it says with which distribution it is compatible, and boom, you can run it, and all is good. So that's the whole idea. And there exist two kind of WSL. Basically, you can call it version WSL1, WSL2. There are some differences. I wouldn't say that 2 is inherently better than 1, as there are some major differences, and there might be a reason why you would want to use 1. But let's get into this in the next video. Alright, and welcome back. So what we are going to do here is install WSL from the command line. You can also do this through the Windows Store, but I'm going to show it the fashion and terminal based way. I mean, why not? These are instructions after all. There are many ways how to do this. And what you usually do is, if you want to install it, is set install. And by default, the Ubuntu distribution is installed. So that is all what you have to do. If you want to use a different distribution, you say no distribution. And you can decide later which Linux distribution you want to use. So it asks for host process changes, and here we go. Installing the Windows subsystem goes pretty quick, and what we have to do now is reboot the system. Now we are going to do this. Alright, and we are back. So let's start our command prompt again, and now we're ready to install a Linux distribution. But which will it be? Well, actually with WSL and help you can see what parameters can be passed, and with L-L-O you can see the available distribution. So what is the difference between WSL1 and WSL2? Well, Let me show you a table of the official Microsoft distribution. Link, let me display it here. Here we go. So you can check this page. It will tell you about the differences. But to put it in a nutshell, basically, with WSL2, you have like some pseudo hypervisor system. You have a virtual machine where you can run the full distribution. While with WSL1, it's really just subsystem and some components within the Windows kernel which enable to run Linux applications, but it is not the full system. Services like systemd for many distributions is the service daemon which is being used, which this one has a requirement for the full operating system and not just some untied components. It is very important to have WSL2 and virtualization environment in order to run it. That is very important to consider. If you want to run WSL2, which is by default, which you get installed if you just run WSL and install it, you have to have virtualization technology enabled. If you have a mainboard like a desktop PC, you might want to consult your mainboard manual. If it is not enabled, you can try it out, just install it, but you might get a warning after the installation if it doesn't work. So you might get lucky. If you're not so lucky, please go into these settings. You have to consult your manual, maybe of your laptop as well, in how to enable it. There do exist some systems that do not have support for virtualization technology. That can also happen. So please consult your manual, check the processor if it is able to support that. If it doesn't, well, you might be stuck at WSL1, which can be an option. You can still run Windows applications. And the performance isn't that bad either, because the advantage is with the virtualization layer, you have more stuff to load, more stuff to process. And systemd, for example, is one of these services that needs to be running in the background. You basically have a full Linux distribution running with WSL2. And of course, this can lower the performance a bit, while with WSL1, you have a layer that is way thinner. But if you have a powerful machine, I really recommend to use WSL2 just for the whole reason, because you have a full system, as many of the Linux applications require to be running on a full system. After all, they are tested on a full Linux distribution with all the bells and whistles. And now we're ready to install a Linux distribution. But which will it be? Well, actually with WSL and help you can see what parameters can be passed, and with L-L-O you can see the available distributions. And if you want to install one, just give it --install, and in our case we are going to install Ubuntu. As mentioned, pick up the distribution that you think matches the best, but with Ubuntu usually you can't go wrong. Yep. And here we go, it's downloading it. This will take a little bit of time. When it's finished, we'll see you again. Alright, we are back and we are ready to start. And I give this a new Unix username. Let's give it Steinzone and let's use some weak password, doesn't matter so much. And here we are. It's installed. And as you can see, the color of your bash has changed. So we are really in a Linux system, as you can see. It's Ubuntu, it's on a terminal, and here it is. So that is basically what you have to do, nothing else. Now if we exit, we leave Ubuntu. Now we leave our terminal, and what you can do now is basically install it. What you can do now is basically run it. So if I type here Ubuntu app open, here it is. And I can do all the usual command line tricks that are well known on Linux distribution. So apt update, for example, will connect me to the Ubuntu servers where I can perform a couple of upgrades. Let's try to install some simple application. How about gedit? Obviously, it's a graphical application. So you have a couple of dependencies here around. This will take a little bit of time. But let's give it a shot. By the way, if you go to the File Explorer, you can also look here into your installed Linux distribution and their file system. This is pretty convenient. And basically, here's your directory with the stuff we have been working on. Basically, dot files are hidden files. So, yeah, we have a full distribution running here. And that's it. We installed gedit and it did not complain. What we can try now as a normal user, execute it. And this seems not to be working. At least it doesn't pop up. Could be related to my drivers on this machine. In some cases you might need hardware acceleration. At least here it seems to complain to something related to it. So yeah. Or I'm wrong. It still was executing. Wow, it worked. Okay, I take this back. I really was expecting it would not load. It took a little bit of time to load. We have a semi-transparent cursor. And yeah, that is the GNOME text editor we learned to know and love and somewhat. Yeah, it has its own design language regarding GUI. It's not my favorite, at least not anymore. But yeah, well, it does the job. And as you can see, if I try to open a directory, these are the same directories you would get to see here. So if you want to transfer files, which we can do, why not? Create just a file, like open terminal, show more options, new file. Hello there, txt, just an empty file. We can edit it here with some Windows application, like hello world. Close it and let's see if it appears here. Usually it should be in the home directory, and here it is. Haha, it made text twice. This is some Windows convention. I should not have written txt now. It put it extension automatically. But yeah, doesn't matter. That is what can happen. And yeah, basically that is it. So not so difficult, isn't it? Yeah. Now let's get to the elephant in the room. What is MSys 2 or why is it 2? Well, actually there was an MSys 1 and it got improved and became MSys 2. I think we don't need to get deeper into the history. If you see some MSys 1 installation, it most likely is outdated. With MSys 2 you have a system where you get a couple of technologies and tools which are very close to Linux distribution. When you install MSys 2, what you get is a specialized command line and a package manager. And it is the same package manager that is used on Arch Linux. It's called Pac-Man. Yes, that Pac-Man from Atari, basically. Very funny. It eats the packages, you know? And the good thing with this is similar to DNF, apt-get, YAM, all this package manager. Here you have a full package manager, but now the difference compared to WSL is you're on a native Windows application. And here's the why you would want to consider this option. First of all, MSys can be installed as a normal user. Secondly, all the applications you install, you download and put, which is a very simple process, believe me, are executables. They run natively on your Windows machine. Yeah, they do exist different architectures, like with Windows as well, but you can adapt and use these architectures and have native applications running on Windows. You don't have a virtualization layer. So you could say it is like WSL 0 but unsupported, this kind of trick. And what are the advantages basically? Well, with MSys you can compile applications, which is a big plus. They run natively, so good performance. But also you can distribute them. With an WSL instance, usually it's in its virtual environment, and if you want to give it to another user, you most likely have to tell him, please install WSL, you have to do that, you have to set up my distribution or maybe something similar, and then you can run my application and stuff I built within that, and that's that. With MSys, you can compile the applications. They provide native compilers for Windows executable, and with the proper DLLs and your executable, if you build applications, you can give them to your friend and you can run it. And that is a big advantage, a big plus, and the reason why you would want to consider this solution. So really, MSys is interesting for developers, specifically C and C++ developers, who want to distribute their applications and don't want to use Visual Studio for whatever reason, or want to use Qt Creator without having to register at the Qt online sites. They provide a full package, but it's a little bit messy. And the big advantage is you have a software manager, you have a package manager, you have Pac-Man, and with Pac-Man you can update everything. You just use one-liner command similar to apt-get, update, upgrade. Pac-Man has a little bit of a different command line parameters, but basically it is the same principle. You just type in your Pac-Man command, it checks all your packages that are installed, it checks for updates, it updates everything for you, and you're good to go. It even updates the whole MSys system. So get this, and I'd say this is a big advantage. Native applications will always be faster than virtualized environments. So give it a shot, give it a try. So what are we going to do with MSys? Well, I'm going to show you how to install it. Obviously, my focus will be how to install it as a normal user. That is important for me because I know some of you might not have administrative rights, so we have to tackle that. And I'm going to show you some commands of Pac-Man, how they work, very simple flags. You might have to memorize and write them down, but they're very easy because in the end we talk about abbreviations. I'm going to explain these abbreviations and you will be good to go. And we will explore a little bit how it installs, how it sets up himself, because if you take a deeper look into it, usually it is installed on the C drive if you decide for the default installation, and with the Windows Explorer you can just look into it, and if you dig deeper into the directories you will find out some similar pattern of how it is done on Linux systems, on the Linux file system. But if you explore, for example, for the bin directories, you will find binaries, and binaries are executables basically, and these exe files, for example, the compiler gce.exe is a compiler executable. Of course, you should execute it on a command line, which you can do. You can open terminal, cd into that directory and just straight execute it. I mean, you don't have to do this, just open the MSys terminal, but it's something you can do. And that is what I want to show you. You have a lot of portability here. these executables can be transferred to another system. You just have to look out for dynamic linked libraries. Usually when you build your application, that's something you have to look for. But this is a little bit outside of thinking outside the box, goes a little bit beyond the topics that are presented in this course. Basically what I want to show you here is how MSys works and what's the principle behind it. And after that, coming to a close in the last chapter, I'm going to present you a couple of awesome Linux applications, which can also be run using WSL. You can find them there. I mean, you have your distribution. Within the distribution, you just look up the package name. I'm going to show you which one. And basically, you can run it there, or you can run it with MSys with the pacman command I'm going to show you. And these applications I'm going to present you are sub-applications I use myself on Linux system. I like them a lot, but I mean, these are also alternatives to Windows applications that sometimes are commercially available. You have to buy them. Here you get them for free. And if you like them, if you used them in the past, why not? Give it a shot. All right. So what we are going to do is, access MSys 2 official webpage. Let's go to it and download the installation. You might get some warnings. These can be ignored because this is an official executable. It doesn't do any harm. And let's open this guy. And here we are. Let me close the rest. This is the setup of MSys 2 installation folder. Here's the question, can you access C drive or not? Usually it is possible you can access it. You cannot access everything, but if you go into any problems, you might want to consider it installing on a different drive. Maybe you can connect a second drive, a USB thumb drive is possible, but you can also just put it into documents, for example, but you have to get the full path. So better in that case to browse wherever you want to have it installed. But this is the default installation and that should do the job in most of the cases. And yeah, the installation process is basically unpacking components, as you can see here. So what is MSys 2 while it's installing? Let me tell you a little bit about it. So it's a combination of different programs. You have a terminal called min-tty, bash, a version control system that is Git, some tools like tar, AWK, and some build systems like AutoTools, and a modified version of Cygwin. Cygwin in the past was application that opened a shell on Windows that was very Linux-like. It depended on one library, and yeah, you basically had a Linux-like terminal where you could pull a lot of Unix-like stunts. So this is all you get here and even more. And yeah, let's run this. And the first thing that you get here is your terminal. And what you usually should do as first thing is to update this one. And you have a package manager called pacman, which is pretty simple, pretty basic. But it does the job. So if you want to update the database, you just do this with a sync parameter. You need target. SYU was it, yeah. Or SUU, yeah, that's it. So that's what you usually do. And it found some updates. It is going to update those. So be a little bit patient. This should be done from time to time. In some cases, you get a message where in order to complete the update, you need to close the terminal. So confirm this and we'll do it for you. It does not happen every time, but yeah, I mean, if you want to get an updated terminal, the window need to be closed, and it does this for you basically. So what did we get by installing this? basically, if you look for MSys, here's a directory where you can look into it. You have MSys for different architectures, but for now we are going to stick with MSys to MSys and look later at the different architectures, because what we want to do is SUU system core upgrade, right? Yeah. In order to understand what pacman does, you can use man as manual of every Unix command. This also works here. And with that, we can look up like what I mentioned, the difference. Does not work. Okay. We have no manual. We have no man command. Okay. Let's see if we can install it with S like sync. And now the command we want to have. And here it is. It will install man with the database and some libraries. No problem. And here we are, man, pacman. And we have it. Can we maximize this a little bit? Query, database, remove, sync. So synchronize packages. Directly from repositories can be grouped, will provide a prompt, comma separated numbers, for example. You can also run SU to upgrade all packages that are out of date. See sync version below. Now, how do you update your packages in future? Basically, you do this with sync, Y, and U. So these are two actions to consider. U upgrades all the packages that are out of date, and combined with Y is it downloads a fresh copy of the master package database from the servers. So that's the only thing you have to do, and with that you get everything automatically upgraded. And now where do you find all the files? As mentioned in the setup, what we usually do is storing them on the local disk, and it's in this directory where we chose that. And let's explore this directory a little bit. As you can see, you have different architectures here, basically 64 and 32-bit, but also UCRT. I'll talk in a different video more about the architectures and their differences. UCRT is a universal common runtime for Windows, and usually you would find applications here, but nothing for that architecture seems to be installed for now. Maybe we have something here. No, it's also empty. Well, it's a clean system basically, but we should be able to find some binaries somewhere. Let me check which directory it was. Can it be Clang64? No, also not. We have the home directory, Clang64 component. I'm pretty sure there is a binary directory because we have installed some basic applications, but I don't find it. But what we can do here is search for executables, and we will find out. No, that's wrong. I want to search in MSys64 directory. Bin, TTY, pacman. USR bin, for example. USR bin, yeah, these are the architecture agnostic applications. So pacman runs on every system, and that's the idea of it. If you open the file location, you can see the already installed application. And yeah, these are basically Unix tools, but they do run on Windows. I can prove it if we just open a normal command prompt and go into this directory. Why not? And just execute nano.exe. Here we go. So yeah, these look like Linux applications, but it's a source code that was natively compiled for Windows. And as you can see, Nano is one of these popular editors used on Linux system. It works pretty well, and even on a normal command line. So that's that, and that is the beauty of MSys2 and MingGV and all these tool chains. Now, in order to continue, I want to bring up one major topic, which is important. You have 5 different environments on MSys, which are the most recent ones. But there are also 2 older ones. So in total, you could say you have 7 in total. So what are the differences? Where is our directory? Basically, if we look into this M, here we are. So here we have 5. I think there's a way to install 2 additional architectures, which are 32-bit. You don't want to do this, but the architecture agnostic one, as I mentioned, is EMSIS one. And yeah, what are the differences basically? It is for once the tool chain, so the tool with what you want to build it. So if you don't care and you just want to use certain applications, just take the EMSIS route. If you want to build your application for a certain architecture, I can recommend you for any Windows application the UCRT64 one, which will give you a different library. The thing is, the EMSIS environment still uses the Sequent library, while this one uses a newer library, and that is the recommended one if you want to deploy and distribute applications. Now we have 2 compilers that are competing. We have the GNU compiler, GCC, and we have the Clang compiler, which uses LLVM as toolchain. So that is developer stuff I'm talking about here. So basically that is the idea. But you can use a more Microsoft compatible toolchain as well, which is the MS Visual C runtime, or short MSVCRT, which you can also find if you go into, do we have it here? You see, it's this one, MinGW64. So yeah, you have different environments, and as you can see here, you can observe which environment is executed. So with that, you have your system under control. Now there's also one for Arch64 architecture, the ARM-based toolchain also exists. It uses LLVM, and yeah, if you type Clang, it's that one. So for Windows, Surface, RT, Windows ARM64 architectures, we also have covered our tool set. So now let's look for some nice applications. What we can do with. And here's a rundown of the applications I will present you. First of it is Kate. Kate is a KDE Advanced Text Editor. KDE stands for Cool Desktop Environment. Yeah, it's written with a K for whatever reason. I think because K is the letter that comes before L. A little bit strange where these names come, but Kate also sounds like some girl name. Whatever, it's a very good editor, and it really can compete with Notepad++. I hope I don't make some fans of Notepad++, and Notepad 2 is another alternative, angry. But my favorite really is Kate for editing stuff. It has syntax highlighting for different languages. It has folder browsing stuff. But you will find out in the video I'm going to dedicate it to that software. Pacman is basically search for applications. We do this with the command pacman ss. And what application do we want to install? For example, Kate. Why not? And interestingly, when you search for it, you also have your environment. So there's an ARM64 environment, MinGW environment, UCRT, and EMSIS is missing. The reason for that is it was compiled for a certain environment, so you might have to switch. But in many cases from EMSIS you can also run it. So that should do the job. And what we are going to do is to install one of these. So basically, yeah, we can take the universal runtime one and install it. This will take a little bit of time since it has a lot of dependencies. But installing Kate is not a bad idea for once you have a graphical text editor that is fully functional and natively compiled for Windows. And you already have downloaded a lot of dependencies that will be used by that other applications I'm going to present you here. And here's a rundown of the applications I will present you. First of it is Kate. Kate is a KDE Advanced Text Editor. KDE stands for Cool Desktop Environment. Yeah, it's written with a K for whatever reason. I think because K is a letter that comes before L. A little bit strange where these names come, but Kate also sounds like some girl name. Whatever, it's a very good editor and it really can compete with Notepad++. I hope I don't make some fans of Notepad++ and Notepad 2 is another alternative angry, but my favorite really is Kate for editing stuff. It has syntax highlighting for different languages, it has folder browsing stuff, but you will find out in the video I'm going to dedicate it to that software. Pacman is basically search for applications. We do this with the command pacman ss. And what application do we want to install? For example, Kate, why not? And interestingly, when you search for it, you also have your environment. So there's an ARM64 environment, MingGW environment, UCRT, and MSys is missing. The reason for that is it was compiled for a certain environment, so you might have to switch. But in many cases from MSys you can also run it, so that should do the job. And what we are going to do is to install one of these. So basically, yeah, we can take the universal runtime 1 and install it. This will take a little bit of time since it has a lot of dependencies. But installing Kate is not a bad idea for once you have a graphical text editor that is fully functional and natively compiled for Windows. And you already have downloaded a lot of dependencies that will be used by that other applications I'm going to present you here. Alright, it's still downloading and installing. Meanwhile, we can have a look at Ubuntu. I want to execute it, please. Here we go. What we can do here is also install Kate. It will tell me I need to become super user. And here we go. Let's see who is faster. Most likely with Ubuntu, because it's really baked into this distribution, and usually the applications are a little bit smaller compared to what you have on MSys. These are the drawbacks, but the native execution is worth a look. And you saw how long it took to execute gedit. Might be faster this time since caches are built up. But yeah, that is something that can also happen. Oh, let's wait a little. Cannot take that long. But as you can see, Ubuntu also has a lot of dependencies. So 20% here. This is still running. Yeah, I mean, I started installation of Kate on Ubuntu a little bit later, so we're not comparing speeds here. Just taking benefit of the time we have to wait anyways. Here we go. Apparently it got installed, but the command does not work. That is strange. Interesting. Let's see if I try this again. Total installed size? Reinstalling is up to date. Okay, it could be that the name is a bit different. Yeah, interesting. So Kate doesn't work for some reason. What we can do now is check in the file manager how the application is called. Now if I go to this PC. So we installed it for UCRT and in bin it should appear. And now we do have some executables here. And where's Kate? K read, K. There are a lot of KD applications, but here's Kate. Yeah. I can tell you what the problem is. Since it was installed for UCRT 64, obviously, and we are running it with the MSys terminal, it doesn't get called. So, yeah. We have to change the environment. Let's do this. UCRT 64. And now we can execute Kate. And here we go. We have our natively compiled Windows application that usually is meant for Linux, and it doesn't look that bad. What do you think? It really integrated well. Yeah, the reason for that is it's a Qt application, so Qt usually doesn't have the problem with integration, at least to my experience. So yeah, that's that. Now let's see with Ubuntu. Ubuntu also finished. Let's start Kate from here. It gave back the prompt. I'm not sure if it's executed in the background. Sometimes this happens, so let's wait a little bit. With gedit it was working, but it took some time. And yet again, we have to wait. Oh, let's wait. It could be that it is running in the background and still starting up. Ah, here we have it. Kate in the Ubuntu distribution. Looks quite different. Even very odd, but right, that is what you get. This is not a native application. And here's the second session. And here is gedit. So yeah, now you can see the difference of, let's execute this again. Let's execute Kate here. Way faster, isn't it? So yeah, that is of what I was talking about. There are major difference between execution and performance here. Secondly, melt compares files. It can compare whole directories. So if you compare two directories where you would expect similar stuff, which can be very useful. If you edited something, you have a backup, you want to compare the backup to the original version, Melt is a very good tool to do so. If I'm not mistaken, Notepad++ can do this as well. Melt has a very nice user interface. At least I like it. It's very simple. Basically, you just choose either files or directories. And whenever you compare directories, you get this nice color tree when you can see the differences within the directories and what directories are there, which are missing, and what files are different. And then you can deep dive into these files and compare them. And you can even apply differences, whatever a diff tool does. But it's very graphical. I like it a lot. And it's one of the more favorite tools used by Ubuntu as well. It's a GNOME application, basically. Let's install the next application, which is we are going to search for melt. And the package is called differently, SS. We are in the UCRT environment, so we have to install according to that environment. It doesn't mean you cannot execute cross-environmentally. That is possible, but dangerous. It could fail. So please keep in your environment. Ah, and by the way, Kate, double click. You can also execute it from your file explorer. So no big deal here. And as you can see, this time we have fewer packages, only 19 compared to how many hundreds were it? Yeah. So big difference here. But that is because we already installed some dependencies. They are kept, they are shared, like a good Linux distribution system does. And here we have melt. As you can see, this looks a little bit odd because it's a GNOME application. It doesn't integrate so well with Windows design language, but that really doesn't matter. In the end, what we are achieving here is, yeah, an application with its own bells and whistles. And what we are going to do here is compare two directories. So that is what this application does. And let's pick up a good candidate. So how about we just compare Ming W64 and Ming W32, which we don't have a 32 environment, but the directories still do exist. But there might be as well some tools that are being used. And wow, no differences. And why is that? Because it's empty. It's fully empty. Okay, that was interesting. Let's do something more interesting and compare UCRT64. USR, select folder, scanning. Machine is busy. Let us scan. There for sure will be some differences. Okay. Yeah, I mean, what I'm comparing here is the whole system. So don't be surprised that it takes a little bit of time. And here we go. So as you can see, there are some commands from Corpa that were installed and are missing in the other environment. And here you can easily track what is missing and what is there. And it seems like we have no differences in files. Yeah, that could be different file names and whatever. What is this? Arctic, it seemed to be some themes, some language settings. Maybe you can have a look. Yeah, and that is how it looks. It's difficult for this editor because it opens the text editor. Here we have binary files with some text here. So yeah, it cannot open this properly. So basically this is for comparing text files and comparing your source code, for example. For that scenario, it will work pretty well. You can even patch it as you like, right? Just click on the arrows, just save it, and you're good to go. You can even combine this with Git when you have differences of files. So close without saving, and that was melt. That is melt. Now, next tool, pack. Let me check. Pacman SS Baobab. We are going to install Baobab this time. Baobab. This is a quick one. And look at this. It opens up for all your Windows applications, for all your drives you have, and for your directory, for the home directory. It displays some options where you can scan file and directory space distribution. So let's do this. Let's scan it. Shouldn't take that long, I hope. I mean, it's a Windows system. It's expected to take a little bit of time. And it seems to have had issues in the background, but okay, I think we can ignore those. But it's counting. As you can see, it's counting the files and the size of the files. And here we go. It finished. It has everything. So the users directory is the biggest one. And now you can navigate here like a pie chart. You can have a map. I'm not a fan of this one, but yeah, up to you. And here we have our MC64 installation. And since we installed a lot of dependencies previously, you can see the UCRT directory takes a little bit of space, and one USR don't take that much space. So that is what you get basically. Binary files, data, locales, so the different language supports are there, and a little bit of Python. Python can take some space, as you can see here. And we haven't even installed Python. These are just some dependencies. So yeah. And for some reason, packages. Why is this? Wow. This seems to be Microsoft's WSL stuff. Yeah, Canonical Group Limited. That's the whole Ubuntu installation that is set up here. So yeah, Baobab even detects this. Isn't it amazing? Yeah, I really like this tool. So next tool on my list, Speed Crunch. Pacman, SS, Speed Crunch. Not here? Oh, that's interesting. I remember it was here. There do exist packages that are not to be found here because they don't exist at all. And this seems to be a candidate. That's a little bit unfortunate that it does not exist here. No chance. Okay, I thought it was there. That's a little bit sad. Actually, you can also browse packages with your web browser. If you go to EMSIS, they do provide the service on their website. If you go here on their menu and look up package index, here you can search for packages. Speed Crunch. And yeah, it does not exist. That is confirmed. So yeah, they did not upload this tool. This makes me a little bit sad, but fortunately we have another option, right? We can boot up our Ubuntu. It will be way slower, but let's install it anyways, now that we have a candidate. And here we have it. So apt with sudo, obviously. Install Speed Crunch. I need to spell it correctly. And here we go. It's a quite small tool, so after installing Speed Crunch, let's start it. And here we are. So an expression like FF, you can see already result. If you want to have it converted to decimal, you can do something like this. Then we are going to install Python. Yeah, Python. Python and EMSIS, there are way too many packages that have been ported, Python packages, to EMSIS 2. So why not have a look at this? You can install Python, you know, the classical way through Windows, which can be a little bit annoying, or you can do it within EMSIS, and you will not have any troubles with updates and what, so you have to download again and whatnot. Now use Pacman, it will manage all the Python packages, all the Python packages for you. Let's check the next application. Python, the programming language. This one is big, but it's basically big because it has many Python libraries. And look at this option. By the way, if this list is too large for you, what you can do is pipe it with grep and UCRT 64 only packages is what I want to see. And you get a reduced nice list where you can still browse. I just want to have Python, nothing else, just the Python interpreter. But you can see, wow, it is a lot that comes bundled here. And as you can see, it's already installed, so through some dependency. And I mean, we already saw with Baobab that there are some Python dependencies, so wasn't thinking about it, but I should have. Obviously, it is already installed, but if it wouldn't have been installed, that is a package you have to pick with pacman, you know, S, and then this package. Now, if we want to install any other dependency, which one could be interesting here? Maybe binwalk, why not? I've never used this one, but I need to check what it does. So pacman S binwalk. Binwalk is an application with which you can do analysis of binaries. It's usually used for firmwares. So if you have a firmware package you download and you binwalk over it, you usually get to extract content. So you might find some other files that are embedded with that So that is what binwalk does, and I'm not sure, can I execute it right away? Oh yeah, it works. So it's Python dependency and it seems to use that, but yeah, that is for another tutorial if you're interested. Let's execute the Python interpreter correctly. And here we go. Here we have Python. So you can use it right away, like print hello world. And here we have it. So yeah, Python. Then let's have a little bit of fun. We're going to look at the DOSBox. DOSBox is basically an x86 emulator with some FreeDOS, if not mistaken, installed, some variant of DOS. And you can run DOS games with it. Why not? Let's give it a try and see how it runs here. Maybe not so interesting for you, maybe it is. If you want to run older games, you can do it with this tool. And now let's get a little bit into more gaming related topics. How about DOSBox? Why not? Let's install it. It's supported here. Now, stick to your runtime. Here we go. DOSBox. Has a couple of applications. DOSBox. I was expecting to get a window. It is here. It was hidden. But nothing is shown here. That's interesting. Arguments, DOSBox, current year, staging, version 80.1. This seems to be a testing version. I'm not entirely sure, but standard SDI auto refresh rate failed to set. Operation is not supported. So apparently the display setting is not working. That's a little bit disappointing. Maybe we can help it out. It could be that it doesn't run on this system here because it doesn't have the fully installed graphical drivers. Let me see if I can tell him to use a different setup here. Shaders, machine type. Okay, I don't think I will get far with this. Notepad still works, by the way. You can even execute Windows applications from here, so you have everything. It's not a problem. DirectX. This tool still works. It lets you check DirectX settings and how well your graphical and all your hardware for hardware acceleration is supported. We have DirectX 12 as expected and Quemo running here. This is a good machine and we have a lot of stuff enabled here. Okay, but DOSBox doesn't want to work for some reason. No idea what's up with that, but we have another option. We can download it directly. Most likely it's an older version you will get. Yeah, it is the 74.3, so that is the stable version that has been around quite some time. So yeah, we can download this one and you will get it. And can run your old DOS games in case you're interested for that. It has an installer this time. Well, why not? Let's install it. It's pretty small, pretty legacy. So yeah, DOSBox works, but for some reason, this version, the 80.80 version, does not work. I can't explain it. All right. So yeah, a third method to install it. So if one method fails, try another method. What happens if we install it from Ubuntu, by the way? A little bit busy. Search DOSBox. Let's close this one. And here we have interesting versions. So sudo apt install DOSBox. Here we go. I'm expecting this to take way more time to run. But it works. It also works. So hardware acceleration is not an issue. I guess this version, the version that is on MSys, is a little bit odd. Right. The Linux games shouldn't be a problem here. Then we have FileZilla, like Mozilla, but for files. Yeah, it's basically for uploading files to a server. It supports FTP, which is a very old protocol. Please don't use that one anymore. But there's also SFTP, which is file transfer over SSH. If you are a network administrator on Linux, you might have seen this tool before. You might have used SSH before. So basically with FileZilla you can do this. It's a graphical application where you can graphically browse on remote machines for your files, and also copy and transfer and all the stuff is taken care of. And it's a two-pane based file manager basically. So next application we want to check out is FileZilla. Here it is. Let's sync it. And here we have it. Not much to say really. Double pane file manager with its flavor of accessing remote machines. So here you can type in your host, username, password. If you have used SSH, you know about what it is. And wow, debugging check has failed. So this application isn't really that stable here around. That's quite interesting. Fortunately, we can continue doing stuff. So we can create a new site, but it still wants me. Wow. So I'd recommend that you better download the official one that is clearly tested, because this one doesn't seem to be. At least it can continue running. So they programmed their exceptions properly for that one. But anyhow. Then we have FileZilla, like Mozilla, but for files. Yeah, it's basically for uploading files to a server. It supports FTP, which is a very old protocol. Please don't use that one anymore. But there's also SFTP, which is file transfer over SSH. If you are a network administrator on Linux, you might have seen this tool before. You might have used SSH before. So basically with FileZilla you can do this. It's a graphical application where you can graphically browse on remote machines for your files, and also copy and transfer and all the stuff is taken care of. And it's a two-pane based file manager basically. So next application we want to check out is FileZilla. Here it is. Let's sync it. And here we have it. Not much to say really. Double pane file manager with its flavor of accessing remote machines. So here you can type in your host, username, password. If you have used SSH, you know about what it is. And wow, debugging check has failed. So this application isn't really that stable here around. That's quite interesting. Fortunately, we can continue doing stuff. So we can create a new site, but it still wants me. Wow. So I'd recommend that you better download the official one that is clearly tested, because this one doesn't seem to be. At least it can continue running. So they programmed their exceptions properly for that one. But anyhow. Let's try out FreeCAD. First, we need to search it, obviously. Then this one is bigger, way bigger. This will take a little bit of time. Yeah, it's still installing. We have downloaded everything. And you can see it pulls even more dependencies. It feels like we almost have downloaded the whole system, the whole EMSIS libraries and package that would exist. Now, that's not really the case. There are way too many. But yeah, there are a couple of libraries to consider this time. Okay, we got this. Now let's see if it works. And we get a couple of problems with graphical drivers. And it crashed. Too bad. I didn't get any chance to see if the system is running. Please. Ah, okay. Yeah, it's the same problem as ever. So this is a virtualized environment. I'm running this here. If you run it on a real hardware, it most likely will work. Well, this is a little bit too sad. We can try the Ubuntu variant as well. Why not? apt search FreeCAD. That doesn't seem to exist. Okay. KiCad, 3D models for KiCad. And no, it does not exist on Ubuntu. The only way to install this is going on the web page and downloading it from there. And yeah, there are a lot of offerings, so you have to be careful. FreeCAD portable. Let's take this one. Now we have 7-zip. Let's see if we can open. Most likely we can't. But what we can do is look at EMSIS if we have some package 7-zip related program. Ah, we have file archive with high compression ratio. So pacman s takes this guy, boom, and now we have 7-zip. 7C, right? Yeah. So can we extract this guy? Well, let's try it out. But how do we get to our directory on Windows? That is an interesting question. How about this? You can type in cd /c, and now we are on our C drive. And now we go to users, go to Gastrong, into the downloads directory. Don't look at this. And we have 7C, our command, and we can tell FreeCAD to extract. It doesn't do auto completion, which you can do with tab, by the way. That also works usually. But with 7-zip it doesn't want to work. Too long switch. Okay. I just want some help. How do I extract with this tool? Add, delete files, extract files without using directory names. Extract with full path with X. So, like this. Too short switch? I don't get it. It's not too short. It's very short, but I know why I want it. Ah, I get it. Like this. Ah, here we go. And let's see what the download directory is popping up for us. And here we have a directory. It's being extracted. Yeah. Maybe the installer would have been more convenient, but as you can see, there are many options. We have Qt libraries that were extracted. Let's see if those work a little bit better. No, we have our FreeCAD application. Let's execute it from here. And we get the same problem, but at least it doesn't crash so far. Or does it? Don't show me again. Okay. No, it does not. So yeah, that's the thing with MSys. Not all the applications are as stable and well tested. So maybe you should look at the official pages of the applications. This one is so far working. It will not work as good, most likely, but it will do the job somewhat. More exceptions. Yeah. So these applications require a little bit of better graphical hardware. Virtualized environment is a thing they don't like that much. Anyhow, that's FreeCAD for you. Now let's try a game that maybe requires more resources, maybe not. Let's see. It's a Super Mario Bros. Clone. Super Tux. Pac-Man. SS. And why not? Let's also install Super Tux card. And let's see which one of the two do the race. As you can see, you can install also multiple packages. Just throw them in and execute it all along. This will take a little bit of time. The Super Tux, especially the Super Tux card, are big packages. So I'll be back. Then let's go to the gaming section a bit. Super Tux is a clone of Super Mario Bros. Why not? You can also play it here. I will show you how. And that's it. Very short video about it. Then the same thing, if you like Mario Kart, there's also Super Tux Kart. This project has been quite around. It uses 3D graphics, which is interesting. You can try this game out in order to see if it really uses your hardware acceleration on your GPU, basically, if that works. It is something you can find out here. Give it a try, why not? Just for the demo purpose, maybe. Or if you are a Mario Kart fan, maybe that is something you might want to look forward to. This project has been around for decades, so it's really a huge game nowadays. But yeah, now let's try a game that maybe requires more resources, maybe not. Let's see. It's a Super Mario Bros. Clone. Super Tux. Pac-Man. SS. And why not? Let's also install Super Tux card. And let's see which one of the two do the race. As you can see, you can install also multiple packages. Just throw them in and execute it all along. This will take a little bit of time. The Super Tux, especially the Super Tux card, are big packages. So I'll be back. Okay, we have installed both games and it doesn't run. Huh. Maybe I'm in the wrong directory. Or did I install? Ah, it installed Super Tux card. But I also told him to install Super Tux. So where's Super Tux? Super Tux is here. By the way, you can check where the command is located with which. But apparently it doesn't autocomplete. Let me exit and restart this environment. That is a little bit strange. It does the autocompletion, but it doesn't find this executable. Huh. That's interesting. Okay, so since SuperTux doesn't want to run, Let's look at the disk where it is located. It should be in the bin directory. Usually you find it there. Scroll down until you go to the letter S. You can also type S after you selected a file. And here we have our games. Ah, Super Tux 2. That was my problem. Should have looked at this. So there was Super Tux 2. Ah, okay. So this one does not work, and the card works and complains about graphical properties. Alright, I want to do offline. Leave me alone. Okay, tutorial. Wow! It looks ugly, but it works. It works! Yeah, that really is a nice game. I can highly recommend it, and wow, very addicting, I have to say. I mean, does it compare to Mario Kart? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Up to you. Does it compare to Crash Team Racing, all the other car racing games that are out there? Well, that is up to you. Not bad, but on a system with better graphical power, yeah, this looks even better. So give it a shot, and it crashed. Thank you. So now you should not run these games on such low performance systems. I'm not going to download those manually. I think that's enough for this session. And now solution, Qt Creator. This one is huge, but it is an integrated development environment for C++ and C developers, and of course those who want to create Qt graphical user interfaces. And MSys has a very good integration with that. If you install it, you have the biggest advantage that you don't need to download their online installer, so that is that. And it runs pretty snappy, I have to say. And the good thing about Qt Creator is it looks on your system, it searches for different tool chains. So if you already installed Visual Studio or any of these development tools or any other open source tool chain like GCC, which you can also do here, or LLVM or Clan, all these, well, you have the biggest advantage in that. And you just take your Qt Creator, let it search for you, and yeah, I mean, it also has a tour that is quite nice. So we can start with a new project here. Why not? Let's do a simple non-Qt project written in C, some classical stuff in documents. I like to create directories. With all these caches, you never know. So hello world, C, here we go, select folder. Let's see, and yeah, use CMake as build system. I don't care, honestly. The Python environment is not what I want to use. I guess, oh, we are missing some environments here. I have no kit installed. So it suggests Python, but this is not going to work. So yeah, I still have to install a kit, but they are suggesting some, as you can see. So this kit here is missing. I had hopes it already would work out of the box. That's a little bit sad that it doesn't. Let's open a second environment. GCC. Okay, right, yeah, it's not installed. Okay, no problem. What we can do now is go back our wizard. Install this guy, GCC. Let's see. What we need is UCRT64. There we have it. Objective-C, Rust is supported, Fortran is supported, ABI. I think and hope that it also enables the C++ support. I will not test it anyways, but I remember it was a different package. I'm not sure anymore. Like C++ is missing here. I just put here. Okay, I don't know. Let's see what happens. These applications are usually quite small, but it takes time to configure GCC, so most likely it has everything installed. Yeah, it also has C++. All right. Yeah, this works. Okay. Then let's try this again. We should have a kit. Nah, it did not detect it automatically. Okay. So maybe it is a good idea to restart Qt Creator. I'm a little bit lazy here around. Let's restart it. So now it should have detected the tool chain. Create project, plain C application. We already have a directory. Please reuse this one. Let's call this project hello. CMake, all right. And no toolkit. Nah. Okay. Okay, in that case, let's see this one. Qt. I don't want to have any Qt. I don't care. I just care for compilers. And here we have them. 3 entries, which is interesting. Pick one. Should be all right. Debuggers. They look like they are also missing. You can install in debuggers. GDB, it's installed. It's something they do recommend, but I mean, if you don't want to debug for now, it is something you don't need. So yeah, you can basically select what you consider to be useful. Let me add an own environment here. Run device, local. We have our compiler. We are good here. I don't want to use a debug. I don't want to use Qt. And now we should be fine, shouldn't we? That still wants me. Yeah, because no debugger set up. You know what? Why not? Let's install the debugger so it makes him happier. So the debugger is called GDB. Should do the trick. It does. Now you have debugger. Yeah, I mean, Qt Creator likes to use debugger. It's tightly integrated, so it makes sense. Qt is optional, but now it shouldn't warn anymore. Here we have it. And we don't need all the profiles, just these two in Steinzone. And version control, none is installed. You can integrate Git here. But yeah, here you have it. It still warns for some reason. Don't know why. CMake? Is CMake missing? Not part of any project, might have issues. Application output. General message. It looks like CMake is not yet running here. Kits. Build and run? Nah. Okay, we don't have CMake installed. That's a little bit annoying, I have to say. Yeah, okay. Let's install this as well. Here we go. But now you should be happy. You should really be happy. Please be happy. At least we have the command line application ready. Now let's go back to kits and give it CMake tool as well. It was not yet detected. I can add it manually or reboot the system. I mean, Qt Creator, but we can also pick up the path. Now that we will learned where you can get this, let's go to it. M64. UCRT, binary, and CMake. Here it is. Here we go. Zack. Sack it. Alright, after it was not detected automatically, I decided to restart this. Let's do it. Go to open project, because we already have an open project. Normally there's a list in my welcome page, but I don't see it here. That's interesting. Okay, but we can... you know what? Maybe it's here. No, it's not. Okay, then let's open project. Hello world, CMake list. There we go. We can use different toolkits, but I don't want to do this. I want to use CMake. Yeah, let's take this one, right? And now we can use Steinzone. And no, I don't want to use. Now it detected automatically everything. So CMake was really the thing that was missing here, the missing link basically. All right, but now it configures properly. General message. Okay, elapsed time. We got this. We have some example here. I'm a bit surprised with the way how it builds this up. Okay, it's showing a target here. That's all right. Yeah, it's a project view. And we have a very basic C application. So we run it, we get hello world, that's it. It's very small, amazing, and yeah, that's basically what you get here. Now what we can do here is look into the directory. We have the executable, and that is the point where you can say, well, if I want to distribute my stuff, I can do it. And here's my small C application with debug code included already. And everything around here are caches and yeah, everything around the build toolchain stuff. We have even a testing directory. Yeah, that is unused. All right. And that's it from my side. That was my more or less bigger introduction to MSys2. I hope you liked it. You see, it's not a perfect toolkit, but it's a toolkit where you can achieve a lot of things. It has some applications that are more buggy, others that are not that buggy. Some require GPU acceleration. You might want to consider that. But other than that, it's a nice alternative if you need a secondary system or some sort of link to Linux and some commands. Thank you very much. And yeah, that's it from my side. So, to make this clear, these applications can also be downloaded and run natively on Windows. FreeCAD is an application. There's a package. You go to the website, you can download it. And why not? But let me remind you, you have to do this every time there's an update. Here is a package manager. It really takes the task for you. And why not? But MSys does more than that. And basically the idea of it is that you can build and deploy applications. So if you are a software developer and if you are in C and C++, MSys might be an option for you if you want to distribute application. But as I wanted to show you, you can do way more with it and give it a try. Why not? Then for those who like to write books or papers, we have TeshLive and TeshStudio. TeshLive is a distribution within another distribution, as you can see. Many Linux distributions have TeshLive or TextLive as a package, and of course MSys also has it, and you can install it and compile Tesh sources to a PDF file or some PostScript file and create papers with it. So for scientific publications it can be very useful, or if you're writing a book, I highly recommend that solution for you. But it is without an editor, and here I get to my last application, which is TeshStudio. It's an old application, it's basically a text editor. Nothing special, but some IDE for LaTeX, why not? Has some preview function so you can see how your PDF will look like, and also jump between the sources and the PDF sections and lines. Can be very useful if you're more into LaTeX and Tesh. Well, that is an editor you can also have a look at. Oh, my last application I want to show you for those who like to write books, it could be useful, is the Tash-Life distribution. The Tash-Life distribution contains a couple of packages with which you can set up your LaTeX environment, basically. And let's just install the minimum one. So it's similar to Python, not as big. So I think we are going to install binary. Yeah, by the way, with a middle click mouse button, you can copy and paste here as well. That's very convenient. So I just select my text and press the middle mouse button and get it immediately added. And I want Tash-Life bin. Ah, no, I already have this package. There was another interesting package. I wanted bin and I wanted core. Let me check where they are. Here it is. So give me those. They have some dependencies. That is all good. And it did not work. Why didn't it work? Something is missing here. UCRT. Database not found. Wait a minute. That is odd. What did I do here? This one works, doesn't it? I guess it will install the bin package anyways, because we need this in order to... Yeah, it is here. So, yep, install it. This will take a little bit of time. As you can see, 468 MIBs. And we are back. We have installed Tash-Life, but we cannot use it yet. So what we need is another application that helps us a little bit with that. And what we're going to install is Tash Studio. And here we have it. Tash Studio. And now you can start doing some LaTeX related work. So let's see, new, gives you a new file. There was a wizard somewhere for what I remember. Would be nice to have one. Ah, here, wizard, quick start. Yeah, that's more like it. So I want to write an article. Give me something to work on. All right, I have to save first. Yeah, this one is a little bit clunky. Let's put our document here. Usually it's recommended to create a directory because it creates a lot of cache files. So example article, let's go here. So, save document. Okay, it called a document and hi. Let's see, give it a play. Process started, it works and I should be able to see it as well. But it doesn't open it yet for some reason. Maybe M key. That does not point to the right directory apparently. That's a little bit sad. Example article document PDF. Ah, it's trying to open a PDF file. I think it's configured to build PostScript because LaTeX usually does that. So what I want to use is PDF LaTeX. Let me see if it can do that, but the default compiler is PDF LaTeX. That's a little bit odd. Maybe I can build it, compile, build and view. But what command is being used? PDF LaTeX. That doesn't appear. What? Strange. Document PDF. Can we use a different font maybe? Does this help? Ah, way better. Now it works. Yeah. So you need to install additional dependency. It did not detect this automatically. That is a little bit disappointing. But anyhow, here we have it. It's doing its job. So yeah, you need to experiment a bit with it around, but it has some nice helping elements here, like, I don't know, mathematical expressions. Do they all work? Yeah, you have to add some symbols in order to make them work, because it's a mathematical environment. But it doesn't detect all of them. Maybe we have to separate them by using white spaces. Still doesn't work, but I have a symbol here. So one symbol was really printed, so it does not recognize box minus. I guess there are more packages that are missing for that, but some basics like pi, for example, should work. Play, update, yeah, and we have our pi symbol. So yeah, we have some helpers here and there, not all are enabled, but yeah. You can write books with this tool. It is one way to do it. A more easier approach would be obviously something like Microsoft Word, right? And that's it with my training of Linux on Windows machines. I hope you liked it. I hope you find it a bit of entertaining, a bit of interesting, and a bit of educative, because for me it is very important that you have a lot of takeaways here. So let me know, give me some feedback. I'd be very happy. There are more trainings I offer about C and C++. Check them out. And also I'm on LinkedIn, so there are more up-to-date trainings. If you are on the LinkedIn network, give it also a look. And yeah, the Steinzone produces a bunch of videos in different languages, mainly in German, but we might do in more languages in future. Let's see about it. And yeah, with that having said, I wish you lots of success for whatever you plan to do. Thank you very much.